A stone block, heavier than a Boeing 747, moved perfectly into place, with no machines, no wheels, no written instructions. And that is the easy part of this mystery. There are places on this planet that modern engineers look at and just go quiet. Structures that should not exist, cities that vanished without a single survivor to explain what happened. Tombs so perfectly engineered that we are actually afraid to open them. These are not myths, they are documented, measured, photographed, and still completely unexplained. Today we are going inside 10 of the most baffling unsolved mysteries in the ancient world. And by the end, you will understand why some of these secrets might never be solved, and why that makes them even more fascinating. The tomb that scares archaeologists. Let us start with a tomb that scientists could open, but deliberately choose not to. Beneath the hills of Shaanxi province in China sits a burial mound the size of a small mountain. Inside, according to ancient records, written more than 2,000 years ago, there are rivers of flowing liquid mercury, a ceiling embedded with pearls to recreate a night sky, and an army of officials, horses, and palaces built to serve one man in the afterlife. This is the mausoleum of China's first emperor, and the central chamber has never been touched. Here is the wild part. Modern sensors have confirmed what those ancient texts described. The soil above the tomb contains mercury concentrations far beyond anything natural. The underground structure is real. The rivers of poison are real. So why will no one dig? Because the last time archaeologists opened something connected to this tomb, a pit containing clay soldiers, the statues were covered in vivid lifelike paint. Within minutes of hitting open air, every trace of color disintegrated, gone, forever. Now imagine that happening to silk. Ancient documents or ceremonial objects that have survived 2,000 years, sealed in darkness, one wrong move, and irreplaceable history simply evaporates. The technology required to preserve what is inside does not exist yet. And so, the emperor waits. But here is the strange part. Some researchers believe the tomb is not just a burial site. The sheer scale, 700,000 workers, 40 years of construction, suggests something more. Could this be a record of knowledge? The emperor did not want the outside world to know. We may not find out for another century. The conqueror nobody can find. Here is a question. How do you lose the grave of a man who ruled the largest land empire in human history? Genghis Khan died in 1227. He conquered everything from the Pacific Ocean to Persia, and then his burial location vanished so completely that not a single expedition in 800 years has come close to finding it. According to legend, he requested total secrecy, so his escort reportedly killed everyone they crossed on the journey home, then executed the funeral attendees, then killed the soldiers who did the executing. 1,000 horses were driven across the burial ground to erase the tracks. Some accounts claim a river was diverted over the site. Others say an entire forest was planted on top. No ancient text, no map, no single document ever recorded where the body went. Satellite imaging has scanned the region. Thousands of volunteers have analyzed aerial data. Drones have swept the Mongolian steppe. Nothing. And here is what makes this impossible to resolve. The local people do not want it found. To them, disturbing the burial site of their greatest ancestor would be a profound insult to everything he stood for. The land is sacred. The mystery is intentional. Some historians argue this is the most deliberately concealed location in all of human history. Not lost, hidden, and maybe never meant to be found. The underground city nobody built. Now, let us talk about something that does not fit any explanation we have. In 1992, a farmer in Zhejiang province, China, decided to drain a large pit near his home to make more farmland. When the water cleared, he did not find dirt at the bottom. He found walls, perfectly flat, carved with parallel wave patterns, from floor to ceiling. No tool marks, no scaffolding holes, no debris. He called his neighbors. They drained another pit, same thing, then another, and another. What emerged was a network of more than 20 massive underground caves, each one rising more than 30 meters high, every surface smoothed to a finish that engineers today describe as flawless. Domed ceilings, precision columns, identical carved patterns in every single chamber. No human remains, no artifacts, no fire pits, no evidence that anyone ever lived here. The caves are believed to be more than 2,000 years old, and yet not one Chinese chronicle from that era, not one mentions them. How do you build an underground city the size of several cathedrals and leave? How do you carve 30-meter-high chambers with hand tools, and produce surfaces that look machine-finished. Some archaeologists suggest grain storage, others say ceremonial use, but none of those theories explain the identical patterns. None explain the near-perfect geometry. None explain the silence in the historical record. The Longyou Caves are still there, quietly waiting under Chinese farmland, totally unexplained. The stones that should not move. Let us shift continents. Because in Lebanon, there are 3 stone blocks sitting in a Roman temple foundation that have broken every theory about what the ancient world was capable of. Each one is the length of a Boeing airliner. Each one weighs between 750 and 800 tons. For comparison, the most powerful cranes operating today can lift around 3,000 tons under ideal conditions. Roman lifting equipment maxed out at maybe 100 tons. So how did those blocks get there? It gets worse. In the ancient quarry nearby, researchers discovered even larger blocks, still sitting in the ground. One weighs 1,242 tons, another, discovered in 2014, weighs 1,650 tons. That is the single heaviest stone object ever identified anywhere on Earth. And it is just lying there, unfinished, abandoned. Researchers have proposed wooden rollers, earthen ramps, coordinated teams of workers. But here's the problem. None of the math works, not even close, which has led some scholars to a conclusion that sounds dramatic, but is actually logical. The foundation may predate the Romans. Whoever placed those stones was operating with capabilities the Romans did not have, and that we still do not fully understand. A civilization we have no record of, doing things we still cannot explain. The map that shows what should not be there. In 1513, an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis drew a map of the world. That sounds normal. Here is where it stops being normal. The map accurately depicts the western coast of Africa and the eastern coast of South America with remarkable precision at a time when European cartographers were still getting those coastlines mostly wrong. But the bottom of the map is the real problem. It shows Antarctica with accurate coastal geography, detailed, specific, and drawn without the ice sheet. That covers it today. Antarctica was not officially discovered until 1820. The ice has covered those coastlines for at least 6,000 years. Piri Reis himself wrote notes explaining that he compiled his map from more than 20 ancient sources, Greek, Roman, and others he had obtained that we have never identified. The implication is unsettling. Someone mapped Antarctica before the ice, before recorded exploration reached the Southern Ocean, before civilizations we know about had ocean-going vessels capable of reaching it. Some researchers believe this is evidence of a prehistoric civilization with advanced navigation, a society that mapped the world and then vanished. Others say it is coincidence, a misidentification of South American coastline projected south, but the map still sits in a museum in Istanbul. You can go look at it, and the debate has not been settled in 500 years. The book no one can read. There is a manuscript sitting in a Hungarian archive that has defeated every cryptographer, linguist, and AI system that has ever been pointed at it. It was discovered in the early 1800s in the town of Rohonc. More than 400 pages, over 10,000 unique symbols, a writing system that does not resemble any known language, ancient or modern. Mixed within the pages are 80 illustrations depicting religious ceremonies, battles, and everyday life, pulling from imagery that appears to be Christian, Islamic, and pagan, all at the same time. Teams of linguists have spent entire careers trying to decode it. Digital analysis has discovered patterns, but no meaning. Every attempt at decipherment has failed. The most frustrating part, it might be a hoax, a 19th century forgery designed specifically to be unsolvable, or it might be the only surviving record of a secret sect that existed in Central Europe, a group that deliberately invented its own script to protect its knowledge. We genuinely cannot tell which one is true. Which of these mysteries do you think is most likely to be solved first? Drop it in the comments. And if you want to go deeper, there is another ancient mystery hiding under the North Sea, an entire civilization swallowed by the ocean 10,000 years ago.